Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for full moon in Cancer that is happening on the 26th or 27th of December, depending on where you are in the world. And this is the final full moon of the 2023, and it's happening in its own sign. Moon is the ruler of Cancer, and it's very strong when we have full moon in Cancer. So there is something that comes to fullness, to fruition, to culmination, and it's in the sign of Cancer. And it's a very good way to end this year officially, to fill ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to see what we are missing, to see what is missing in our emotional stability and security, to see where we need to grow emotionally, where we have lack of emotional maturity and intelligence, where we feel that wound of abandonment, where we feel the need to belong, the need to belong somewhere, where are we still not emotionally independent, where are we emotionally dependent and attached. These kinds of things will be very strong now, and this full moon is happening in Cancer, 5 degrees of Cancer, and it's the first decade of the Cancer, so it can be very emotionally reactive. It's early stages of Cancer, the development of feelings, emotions, and security, and sense of family, sense of belonging. So very sensitive, very emotional, very easily triggered, and we are going to feel the battle within ourselves, the inner conflict, the inner battle between the light and dark, between where we are now and where have we been, from where we come from and where are we going, because Cancer is also our past, our childhood. The Cancer represents the 4th house in the zodiac, so it's related to our homeland, our place of living, our house, our family house, our upbringing, our childhood, our mother, our family relationships, our roots and ancestors, all those things that make us feel secure, our origin, knowing where we come from, our roots. And this is very powerful, because it's the core placement of the zodiac. Actually, it's the bottom of the zodiac. It's the opposite from the 10th house, which is the top of the chart. The Capricorn, the top of the mountain. Then we have the Cancer, which is the source from where it all comes from. But now we have great support from other planetary interactions. We have Jupiter in the play, and Jupiter is in Taurus, in a sign of stability, groundedness, security, pleasures, self-sufficiency, self-reliance, being able to take care of ourselves, which is very necessary with this full moon in Cancer. And now we have Jupiter sextile moon. Sextile is 60-degree aspect, and it's it's very good for us. It gives us opportunities that we have to act on. So we will have many opportunities to really stabilize ourselves, to stabilize our emotions, to really feel abundant on the inside, to feel inner abundance, to expand our sense of security and safety and stability. And the Sun also makes another positive and friendly aspect with Jupiter, called trine. This is 120 degrees aspect, and the Sun and the Moon are in the opposition. This is when the full moon happens, when the Sun and the Moon are across each other. So they are looking at each other, and the Sun is making trine with Jupiter, Moon is making sextile. So the both luminaries are two eyes, are the Sun and the Moon. The silver and gold are making good positive aspects with Jupiter, the great benefic. Jupiter, the planet of abundance, wisdom, prosperity, wealth, everything that brings us beneficial results, wisdom, knowledge, wealth, abundance, all that I already said. And Jupiter is the great teacher, the guru. And now we are going to feel that help from the wisdom of the heart, because Cancer is the heart, the chest, the breasts, and it's our core emotions. And Jupiter in Taurus brings that stability, that structure, and that sense of security and safety. So we are able to really feel that rootedness, to be rooted in our heart chakra, to feel the stability of it. And this moon is also making square with Neptune, and Neptune makes square with Mars and Mercury. Mars and Mercury are together in Sagittarius, and Mars is next to Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde now. So they are both in this same sign, and they are very close together, 23 and 25 degrees. And we should really be careful of words that we say, because we may not really be conscious and aware of what we're saying, because we may be emotionally triggered. We may see something that is not there. Square with Neptune. Neptune is illusions, delusions, confusions. But this square makes it tense, brings pressure, brings some possible crisis. So we may say things based on things that we think are real, but they are not really real. So we may say things that we may regret later. Mars is very sharp with Mercury. We can say, things that can hurt people, or we may feel hurt by somebody else's words. So these are sharp words, sharp tongue. So let's use this energy in some other way, to inspire, to feel to inspire and encourage and empower ourselves. Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius, it's a very knowledgeable aspect. It brings us knowledge and light and wisdom. It can help us learn much more, study much more about our emotional stability and security. We can learn a lot, not only basic learning, but like really getting deeply into something, knowing the meaning. We want to see the meaning behind what we are feeling, behind our triggers, behind our emotional reactions. We want to see what it is. And Mars and Mercury together can help us learn that. We are having that fire of really wanting to know the meaning, searching for truth, searching for meaning, being inspired to tell the truth. But not to be, we have to be careful, because if we are too direct with someone, we can hurt them. And that's not the point. The point is to help ourselves and others understand where we come from, and see how can we deal with those things that we carry, deal with our own hurt, deal with our own sense of abandonment, deal with our own emotional insecurities and instabilities, instead of always projecting those emotional instabilities and insecurities onto others. And always searching for that, for justice in relationships as well. We may feel that strong tendency to really, make people see our truth, and searching for approval from others, telling them our version, and denying versions of others. So this is not the way, of course. This is something that we do when we are hurt and we behave like wounded animals. That's when we attack. But we have functionalities in our system that give us ability not to behave in that way. So we have the power of that free will. So the question is, where is our free will? Where is that free will now? And which side will liberate us and which side will haunt us? And we also have great support. Sorry, my throat is sore. Support from Saturn. Saturn is making supportive trine aspect with this moon. And Saturn is also making another supportive aspect with Jupiter. And Saturn is in Pisces. And this is very, very powerful, because Saturn trine moon can really help us stabilize ourselves again, just like Jupiter sextile moon. So we have this help from spiritual strength. Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is strength, structure, methods, something concrete, something real. something serious. So we are becoming very serious about our connection with the spirit. And sorry, I have some irritation. Okay, I hope it will pass so I can speak. Something is not letting me speak. This is interesting. Okay, so where was I? Saturn. Saturn brings support to us during this time. It gives us support from that connection with the spirit. It gives us strength to become rooted in the spirit, to get serious about our healing, to really get serious about our spiritual dimension that exists. We cannot deny what's invisible. Pisces represents that which is invisible. So Saturn has a task to bring that invisible realm into the visible realm, and it's helping this moon, which is in Cancer now. So we are able to bring things from the invisible realm, from the subconsciousness, to pull out subconscious fears and to bring them to light and to heal them. And Chiron is stationing direct. Chiron, the wounded healer, is stationing direct in Aries on this same day, just a couple of hours after this full moon. And Chiron is next to the North Node. And so this is our mission, our task, to really encourage ourselves to be courageous when facing our emotional wounds, to stand up for ourselves, to really be able to walk through that dark tunnel, the womb, through that source of Cancer, to walk through that directly, without fear, fearlessly, with this Chiron direct in Aries, and to be able to build a true strength and faith within ourselves without relying on anything externally. This is the moon and the Cancer. These two archetypes are very much about our inner world, our privacy, the womb, the mother, the unknown, the darkness. But this is the fullness, the full moon, so it brings things to light. It enlightens something that has been hidden, that has been avoided, neglected, ignored, that has been forgotten or hidden. So things come to light, things come to a fruition, things come to a head as well. So with the full moons, there are always culminations, endings, completions, revelations, disclosures, acknowledgements, adjustments, surrender, letting go. These kinds of things are needed. So we are letting go of the past, leaving the past in the past, but also using the past to see through it, to walk through it, to be fearless when facing our own untreated wounds and traumas from the past. And this square between Neptune and Mars can be a bit tricky, because we may have a need to escape reality. This aspect can bring mass hallucinations, addictions, drugs and alcohol, TV shows, movies, video games, all the things that just put ourselves into the numbness, that numb our feelings, numbing our pain, numbing everything. This is psychic sensitivity, and we want to check out of reality, but this is a time to check in, not to check out. So let's not go into that direction of escaping. It can be spiritual bypassing as well, using meditation and these. I always mention these spiritual bypassing when we have Neptune and Pisces archetypes strongly accentuated. And we may be addicted to social media as well. Neptune rules, everything that has to do with Hollywood movies and entertainment. So social media also, goes in that box. But, in a positive way, this Neptune-Mars can really give us, inspiration and motivation to walk the path, to be the visionary, to be the wizard, to be the great artist, the great architect of life, to surrender to the divine intelligence, to be able to just channel that higher self through ourselves. For this is a great art. Great art can be created. The search for the Holy Grail, the search for great wisdom, higher octave expressions of Neptune, the god of the sea. And so this is the subconscious fears coming out, and we are facing with them. It's mystical energy, the poet, the mystic, the dreamer, the wizard. It's very spiritual, so we can use it in a very unique way now, in a way that we can just sink into ourselves, deepen our intuition, deepen our connection with the spirit. So instead of checking out, we check in. And meditation, contemplation, deepening our relationship with our inner artists, tapping into visionary artistic potential and put it into work, not getting caught up in illusions, because illusions can be very high. We are seeing things that are not really there, or having just twisted perspective of something. Especially because Mercury is also retrograde, so misunderstandings, misinterpretations, miscommunications, and with this square between Mars and Neptune, and square, a little bit wide square, but it's still square between this full moon and Neptune. Of course, we may be very, deeply pulled into fantasies and need to escape, need to just close our eyes and go into the dream world, just numb ourselves and shut down. So we are going to see that fear is addictive. That's why the 12th house in Pisces has to do with addictions and subconscious fears, because these subconscious fears pull us into those addictions. It is attractive because it's that it's a game, it's a network, it's a trap. And we are going to see that this is a trap. And we may see that we are trapped, we are caught in the web, but we will have ability to get out of it now, to see it, and when we see it, we cannot unsee it. So once we understand it, we are free of it. And we're going to see that these fears are addictive and attractive. Negativity is addictive and attractive as well. And we are easily manipulated by external forces. We are easily caught up in fears. But now we have ability to really sink into our emotional world, into our hearts, into that subjective reality. And every full moon, we know that we are more lunatic, more emotional, more reactive. Moon is emotional reactivity. It feels, it reacts to things. So people feel emotions in a stronger way. And when it's in its own sign, emotional sensitivity goes to maximum. And we are more reactive. So wounded places in the core of our psyche are triggered. And we have to work on these things, we have to heal them and release them, which is not easy, but these subconscious habits, energies have been here for a very long time, because we've been feeding them, nurturing them, nourishing them. And we have to tap into the presence, be in the still point, place of letting go, surrender, and letting emotions go through ourselves. Just feel everything that there is. Let those feelings pass through ourselves. Let those feelings just be processed. Let them be expressed, whatever they are. They may be very old, maybe even older than ourselves. These are ancestral patterns as well. Patterns that we carry through our DNA, through our ancestors. And, it's about, tending to the needs of the heart. It's about the people we care about, people we consider our family, our blood family, and people who we feel close like family, our home, our soul family, but also childlike behavior, wounded childlike behavior too. And we may feel the pain right through the center of our chests, and this pain is actually something that is pushing us towards simplicity. And we are asked to focus on those beautiful qualities of this great mother archetype. Releasing, letting go, and crying are medicines now. These are the recipes for healing those emotional wounds. And we are giving birth to something. Cancer, giving birth, feel to heal, feeling and healing. Feeling is healing, and taking care of ourselves, taking care of others, and licking our wounds. Actually, this is what is happening. It's better to feel than to numb ourselves. It's definitely better to feel than to be in the state of apathy. We need discipline, awareness, responsibility, consciousness, and we have to put effort on that spiritual connection. This is Capricorn. Capricorn is across the Cancer, so we need that discipline, responsibility, maturity, structures, methods, hard work, efforts, practicality, productivity, reliability, loyalty, authority. All these qualities of Capricorn we need in order to come back to who we truly are, to nurture our inner child, to become parent to our inner child, to become a true authority. This is, this phase of the full moon. This phase is represented as a mother who breastfeeds her baby. So this whole moon in Cancer archetype is related to breasts, milk, and giving birth, and our Milky Way in the galaxy, the Milky Way. And this is the gateway, the gate through which we descend into these bodies. Cancer and Capricorn, the gates of reincarnation. And this phase of the full moon is known under many names. We all know those goddesses, ancient goddesses. Some of them are known as Aphrodite, Tara, Mary, Isis, Ceres, Astarte, Ishtar, or Lakshmi. There are many other names, of course. All these names of goddesses are related to certain phase of the moon, either new moon or full moon or the dark moon, and they all have different aspects. And moon rules the sign of Cancer and the fourth house, which has to do with giving birth and with mothering, with raising children, with nurturance and nourishing. So we are going to ask ourselves, what are we nourishing right now in our lives? Are we nourishing something that is destructive for us? We can nourish things that are not good. We can nourish things that are damaging. We can nourish and nurture toxic relationships. We can nourish and nurture our self-destructive patterns and habits and routines. So we are going to see what we are nurturing. We are going to see what we are nourishing. And is it destructive, or is it something that allows us to heal? And these things related to Cancer and the moon are not something that is learned. This is something that comes naturally. Baby doesn't learn how to drink milk from the mother's breasts. The baby just knows how to do it. We also don't learn how to eat and chew the food and how to swallow the food. We don't learn how to do it. We just do it naturally. We don't learn how to fall asleep or how to wake up. We do these things naturally. So these are natural cycles that we don't really know a lot about. These are, the moon and the Cancer. It's unconscious inner child, our subconscious realm, something that we don't see, that is happening in the background. And the moon represents things that we already carry within ourselves, things that we know, things that we are comfortable with, things that we have repeated so many times through lifetimes. This is our moon. And so we are going to see these things. They will come up. We're going to see them, but we're also going to see what we are not comfortable with, what needs more attention, what our inner child wants and needs. Are we giving enough attention to our inner child? Are we dealing with our emotions and feelings, or are we neglecting them and denying them and avoiding them and suppressing them? Our personality, our character, our personality is initiated through Cancer and through Mother, and personality is our ego, our inner child, our necessary companion, our ally. This is our assistant, so we cannot survive in this world without this. So in Cancer we are initiated as a person, and we have to face some things now. We have to face our own abandonment. So if we feel wounded in those places, if we feel abandoned, or if we have felt abandoned ever in our life, and of course all of us have at some point, this is a moment where we are going to recognize that we have abandoned our inner child and our personality. Our ego shape-shifted into something that has no control, no boundaries, no healthy structures. It is something that has grown on its own without our care, and now it rules us. We became slaves to it, and we can turn this over by turning into our feelings and by tuning into our inner selves, by communicating with our inner child, by reparenting ourselves and developing understanding for our untreated ego, our untreated inner child, our untreated wounds and traumas. And the child feels safe in mother's womb. It feels well protected, nourished, and secure. But then comes the separation, which is birth. We are in the womb connected with the mother, and then the birth comes and we are separated from the mother. And the child comes out of the womb, comes out of the security, out of the comfort zone, and comes out of that safe cave, right into the world, into the unknown. And that's why it's very important to be held by the mother, to feel the mother during that time, to feel secure and protected by her in the external world as we felt in that womb on the inside. So this connection builds emotional security and emotional well-being. And this is what we have to provide to our inner child, no matter how old we are, because this is something that we all experienced. Those childbirth traumas are not something that happens only to some people. This is what we experience right away, just as we are born. We are immediately separated, and then our journey through life is to come back to that source, but through ourselves, not through external sources, but to provide that security and safety to our inner child, no matter how old we are. And the fourth house, the lowest point, as I said, it's the imum coeli, the nadir. The zenith is the 10th house, and the nadir is the 4th house, the lowest point. And it doesn't mean that that's something bad because it's the lowest point. It refers to subconscious part of our psyche. It refers to our roots, the invisible world, the unseen, the internal dimension, the inner vision, the inner child. It refers to nighttime. It is the midnight. The midnight, the 4th house, the Cancer, is the midnight, while the 10th house is the noon. And this is the womb and the nighttime. So it's scary, it's unknown, it's dark, but it's also something that provides security and safety. Just, as we know that whatever we plant, the seeds that we plant, that we want them to grow, we need to plant them in the dark place. the seeds are put in the darkness in order to grow. So this is something that reconnects us with that purity of the newborn, of childbirth, of that innocence, of the motherhood, of home and family, childcare, security, feelings and emotions, and place where we come from, and our home, and where do we belong, and who are our parents, who are our ancestors. And the moon also represents our impressions and our mind and our taste. So all that we perceive and experience, all our need for security and stability comes from this point. So this full moon will bring that to light. It will really pull us out of our comfort zone and show us what we need, what we are afraid of, what are our subconscious fears that come from those first couple of years of our lives. And just understanding the cycles and rhythms of life, understanding that we have, that it is our responsibility now as we are adults to reparent ourselves. We may not, I read somewhere, it's a great sentence, it said that we are not responsible for what we've been through while we were growing up, but we are responsible for taking responsibility for it now when we are grown-ups. We are responsible for healing those places. And being responsible doesn't mean that we are guilty for something. This is what many people confuse. They think it's the same thing. Like if it means that I am responsible for it, it means that it's my fault, but I am not going to admit that it's my fault because it's not. That's just completely destructive perception, because we have to take responsibility. This is the Cancer opposition is Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, taking responsibility, and we have this support from Saturn now. We have this trine aspect, friendly aspect between Saturn and the moon. So we definitely can do this now. We can take responsibility for our emotional and mental instabilities and insecurities. And we are learning much more about where it all comes from, where our emotions come from, where our thoughts come from, where words come from. Where do we come from? Not only from our mother and father, but where we come from before our mother and father. Where we were before that, and how we came right there here in this family, in this place on the earth, in this house, in this country, in this town. This is all fourth house and the Cancer archetype. And we are definitely going to dive deeper into those questions, like where we come from and why did we come into this particular family with these particular people in this particular storyline, in this particular drama. And what is our role there? What is our task? What is our mission? What does that mean for me, for my journey, for my evolution, for my growth? And blood is related to the moon as well, because the moon rules all the fluids on the earth, and blood is the most sacred fluid on the earth, and blood gives life. We wouldn't be able to breathe without blood. And blood is the manifestation of the Holy Spirit. Our blood and bones hold the secrets. They keep the memories. They keep the records of who we are. And blood is ruled by the moon. And the bones are ruled by Saturn. These are two oppositions, Cancer and the moon, and Capricorn and Saturn, the 4th and the 10th house, Cancer, Capricorn. Blood and bones. And these are our gateways into this world, the 4th and 10th houses. Our mother and father, Cancer and Capricorn, Moon and Saturn, our inner and outer, our emotional security and material security, blood and bones, our history, 10th house, and her story, 4th house, and our past lifetimes are written in our blood as well. We carry these memories in our DNA. Our earliest childhood is a little replica of our past lifetimes, and the moon allows us to recognize who we are, to find out our story, to discover our origin, our history, to discover our roots. In order to grow, we have to water those roots. Water, the moon and the Cancer. Roots, the moon and the Cancer in the 4th house. So in order to grow and reach the top of that mountain, the 10th house and Capricorn, we definitely have to water those roots and to remember who we are, to understand the significance of everything that we have, of the structure of our body, of the fluids in our body, of the subtle and material elements of our bodies and of our whole system. And in ancient teachings, the moon is connected with the immortal elixir known as soma, that only gods can drink. It is known as the drink of gods, and it is again a fluid, and it's a powerful one. And it was believed that when gods drink soma, the moon wanes, because the moon has its brightness thanks to soma. So when we have the full moon, the moon is brightest, and it looks like it's pregnant and it's about to give birth to something. So there is like the biggest potential of that soma, the elixir of gods, and we can really receive some of that wisdom, receive some of that power, and it has a very strong influence. It is stronger than many things that we know of here, for cleansing, for healing, for entering altered states, for seeing our past and future and present at the same time. And soma is another name for the moon. So it is something that maintains invincibility and vitality and high forms of energy. And this invincibility means it refers to untamed ego. We are invincible towards that. Invincible towards uncontrollable self, and towards parts of the self that are in disbalance with the expressions of the spirit. So during this full moon in Cancer, this potential is very strong for really being able to reparent our inner child, and therefore to reshape our ego, to put it in the service of ourselves. And these are the archetypes of the moon and Saturn, Cancer and Capricorn, parent and the child, innocence and guilt, being receptive and being resistant, push and pull, come in and get out, feel safe at home, go out and explore the world, contemplate and manifest, impregnate and give birth. All these things are happening on this axis of 4th and 10th house of the Cancer and Capricorn. And what we all miss individually is the archetype of Cancer, that sense of security, safe home, safe space, knowing that we are taken care of, knowing that we can trust one another, knowing that we are emotionally supported no matter what, knowing that we have food, shelter, nurturance and care, knowing that we have that place of complete security where we can be who we are and where we can just surrender, a place where we belong, a place where we don't have to pretend about anything, a place where we can, take off our armor and just relax, recover and rejuvenate, restore ourselves. And this is something that we all miss. This is something that we don't have. We are always cautious. Capricorn, Saturn, being cautious. We are always very careful and feeling threatened, feeling that someone will, hurt us in some way. Someone will betray us. Someone will trick us. We cannot trust one another. We have a very big issue of trust. And we don't allow ourselves to feel. We always cover it up with work, for example, Capricorn, working or escaping into those things that I already mentioned with Neptunian, Piscean things. And this is the moment where we can really reconnect with our bloodline. And this bloodline goes way back. It's much more than just blood family. It's the whole family of this earth, because we are all connected, actually. And these are our, these are imprints in time, Cancer and Capricorn. Grandmothers and grandfathers, grandsons and granddaughters, past and future. These things are very powerful now. And when we see the glyph of the sign of Cancer, we see the double spiral. Double spiral, it's and it's spiraling, and it's connected again to DNA and epigenetics, and where we come from, and how are we created, how are we incarnated, how are we born, the process of giving birth at all, the whole that process of inheriting everything and getting the complete human being, the mystery of being here and being alive, the mystery of the blood, the mystery of the bones, the mystery of our past, the mystery of our memory. How come that none of us thinks about these things deeply? We all take it for granted. It's like it's there and we don't think about it, because we live in this reality where we just filter these things through our rational mind, and we don't allow ourselves to be irrational. But Cancer is irrational. Our emotions are mainly irrational. We cannot really explain them. We don't have words for these things. We cannot put our feelings into words. We can try through poetry or stories, but again, there is something missing there. So these are very deep, private, intimate things. And this Cancer and fourth house and the spiral and the DNA also reminds us of the black hole. The black hole pulls everything into itself. This is what the Cancer and the fourth house, it's the core, the bottom of the zodiac, so it pulls everything inside and into itself. It is a cradle and the grave at the same time. And these are two double spirals, and a black hole is a spiral as well. It is not something dangerous as we are taught to believe. It is useful. Ignorance is dangerous, and we have to make that spiral link with our ancestors and our soul and spirit. And we are learning more about these spiral journeys and our cyclic nature, and about time that is also spiral, that is not linear. Golden ratio, spiral galaxies, spiral DNA, spiral brain. Brain is also created in spirals. Spiral art, sacred geometry. Our bodies is also rounded. Our eyes have spiral inside. There is spiral at the top of our head. There is a spiral there. Spirals on our thumbs. We have our what's the name of these? Oh my God, I forgot. Never mind. We have spirals here on our fingers. This is the spiral creation, divine proportion, curves, nature, everything in nature also. This is the harmony of spheres, the proportion and symmetry. And every great architect in in our ancient history, when we look at those great architecture of the past, all those architects copied the great architect of the universe. We are just copying here what is on a higher level. So we here on a micro level, we recreate that. It's a replica. And Cancer is really that wisdom of giving birth and just spiraling, not circling, but spiraling. And it's really time for us now to understand that being able to rest and relax and feel safe and comfortable is very important for healing our blood, for healing our bones, for healing our whole nervous system. And we have been taught for so long that it is not good to take day off. Here we have this opposition between Cancer and Capricorn. Capricorn is hard work, career, profession, being seen, being noticed, being recognized. It's our reputation, it's our social status, our contribution to the world, all these things. It's public image, while Cancer is private. And we have been taught for so long that it's not good to take day off, to take rest, to take a longer holiday, to be with our family, fourth house, to have a real time together, to spend some time on our own and have our own time for ourselves. Instead, we've been taught to be ambitious, to run for the money, to survive, to take care of only ourselves, to not give a damn about things that are happening on the other side of the world because it's none of our business. Just that's all too far away from us. But in reality, it all affects us, especially because we are not dealing with it. So we've been pushed to work every day, to work 2 or 3 jobs even if needed, to exhaust ourselves, and to be very grateful if we have a free weekend to explore a bit of life as well. And these are the consequences of patriarchal society, which doesn't mean that men are responsible for it. Men and women are both participants of patriarchal society. It's not gender related. It just means that it's more focused on that ambitious, on success, on rationality, on just suppressing intuition and emotions and everything that has to do with the invisible, with the private, with the intimate and intuitive. And we need healing, we need feeling, we need emotional maturity, we need emotional intelligence, we need emotional stability and emotional health in order to bring this healing into life. We need emotional well-being and warmth. And we need to feel trust, to feel that trust and to feel understood. But first we need to allow this within ourselves. We need to trust ourselves, to give an understanding to ourselves, to be compassionate towards ourselves, to learn how to be a true parent to ourselves, to re-establish a healthy and true relationship between a parent and the child within ourselves, to bring that holy trinity into a real connection, inner mother, inner father, inner child. This holy trinity within ourselves has to be in harmony, but it's disbalanced, and this full moon may bring to light this balance. And we always need a home to return to. Wherever we go, we have to have some place where we come back to, right? We cannot live. I mean, there are people without homes, but we are all having that need to belong to. We all have a need to have that home, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical one. We all have a need to come back to home, to return to, and this home is within ourselves. It is our own state of being. It is our own perception, our heart, our inner feeling, and we can either make it heaven or hell. It's up to us. And we are we are coming back home to ourselves. Whenever we have new moon in Cancer, full moon in Cancer, Cancer season, whenever we have this strong Cancerian energy, this is our opportunity to come back to our home, but home within ourselves, to heal our relationship with our inner child, with our mother, with our father, with our family, with our past, with our ancestors, with our childbirth, with that separation that happened at the beginning when we were born. And there is also that saying that says, wherever you go, there you are. And home is where I am. That is where the home is. And we should definitely always know that wherever we go, there we are. We cannot be lost if we are with ourselves, right? And we are now removing the doubt, removing the guilt, removing the shame, removing the judgment, removing the limitations. We are rising up in our own power. It's our personal authority. Cancer and Capricorn really wants us to have that personal authority. And it's a creative process. Childbirth is a creative process. It can be scary time, grieving time. It's emotionally charged. Mourning time, letting go and releasing layer after layer of the past, and understanding why we are here and what's meant, where we're meant to go, what we are meant to do. And it can be an uncomfortable process. We can face our heart blocks and understand that we are not all familiar with support and with family care. And even those who are also have the same issues within themselves. And, healing process may be uncomfortable. Removing toxins from our system is not easy. Healing relationships and ourselves. This Chiron now direct in Aries, next to the North Node in Aries, opposing the South Node in Libra. So it's healing our relationships, healing our sense of self within a relationship, healing our codependency wounds and the wound of identity, our identity wounds. And it's time to be our own authority, releasing from the prisons from the past. Rules are changing. We are changing the rules. And we have to support ourselves. This is self-support, self-care. And, we've been trained to protect ourselves, to defend, to control others, to manipulate. But we now have to honor our own rhythm and to see what kind of roles affected us the most while growing up. And we definitely have to learn how to create more support for one another. And we need trust for that. We need to cultivate more love and more support, more friendliness, more kindness, more graciousness. And we are dealing with these blockages, with these wounds and dramas and different roles. And we are waking up our heart during this time. It's about a huge collective maturity. We are collectively maturing, and maturing process is also not easy. And there are many reality checks, and we are going to ask ourselves, is this really working? Am I really doing this? Can I really do this? Can I really make it? But of course the answer is yes. Always. We may be unsure, uncertain, and we may have doubts, but we are discovering some treasures here now. And, do we decide to go through the process, or do we run and escape? We have that dark tunnel in front of us. So do we walk through it? Do we decide to go through that process, or do we come back and escape? But we are just making circles until we again find ourselves in front of that tunnel that we will eventually have to walk through one day. We definitely have to face these things. We have to face our own darkness, that inner child that is all that we have suppressed in our lives, all unconscious wounds, all things that we don't remember, that are very, very powerful and important. And we have to tell ourselves that we are safe to feel, you know. We have to be our own parents. We know this, but we have to really to do those things, you know, put ourselves to bed, something that we want somebody else to do for us, or something that we want to do for somebody else. These are same things, these opposites. Like, we want to save people or we want to be saved. And, you know, this is a time when many of us may feel like we are orphanages, you know, feeling like orphanage and having a need to be saved or to save. But this is a time of, you know, returning back to ourselves, getting back to our roots, and, you know, really investing in that long-lasting relationship with ourselves. And there are many challenges, of course, that can get in the way, but we are definitely returning to ourselves, taking care of that inner child, entering those deep waters of Cancer, very emotional security, and emotional security and stability is achieved through surrender. And, you know, we have to understand that we have to learn from those elements and wisdoms of these archetypes. Water doesn't resist, it just flows, and it flows ever onwards. And we have to learn how to be more like that, this primordial source of life. And we know that crabs live in the sea and on the land, suggesting the idea of life's first emergence from the oceans. These are the gates of descension and ascension. And, you know, all these symbols are coming from a deep place in the collective consciousness. And the symbol of the mother, the great mother. The mother is one of the oldest religious symbols, and it's often connected with that primordial ocean of the earth itself. And mother is mysterious, nurturing, sustaining, but she's also dangerous and dark and destructive. And from her comes the abundance and the power to give and sustain life, but also the unavoidable death. You know, the mother is the womb and the tomb. That's what I always mention when I'm talking about the Cancer in the 4th house. And it contains the whole cycle of birth and death within her being. You know, and, you know, the dark mother, we have the archetype of the dark mother as well. This is more related to the dark moon phase. But we are also somehow going through it right now, even though it's the full moon. And this is the part of nature that is always trying to pull us back into that unconsciousness, and that must be overcome. And, you know, we have that need to come back into that womb. You know, there is definitely a time when we are separated from the family. And, you know, this Cancer part in us may resist the split, and it wants to remain fused with the mother in an attempt to stay safe. But life will push us out of the nest sooner or later. So we have again two extremes. Either we stay in our home with our family, in our homeland, not being able to move, to separate from them. We have very strong bond and attachment, and it's very painful and we cannot let it go. Or we run away from our home, we run away from the family, we don't want to hear about them, we don't want to, you know, these two extremes again are very, very much related. They are very, very close, but just have different manifestations. So there is this desire to reconnect with our source, and it's often projected into that tendency to look for someone or something that will take care of us and make us feel that we belong. Or, again, the opposite, we taking care of others. But this search for emotional security can only be found within. The chaos has to be contained and held, and Cancer is both the chaos and the container. And we are definitely now giving birth to this creative potential of this sign. and learning the mysteries of life, discovering that hidden treasure within ourselves, and understanding that we are all three within ourselves. We are that Trinity. We are the inner child, the inner mother, the inner father. And in order to be whole, we have to heal our whole inner family. And we have to create that peace in our inner home, to find that place of belonging wherever we are, knowing that we are safe, to just, we have opportunity to clean up this old baggage, old karma, unfinished business. Again, Mercury retrograde and full moon in Cancer and Neptune and Saturn in Pisces in the game. All these things, and including the nodes in Aries and Libra, North Node with Chiron in Aries, now direct opportunity to clean up old karma, to clean up that old baggage, to remove the burden, and to release those old bags, to resolve things with others and with ourselves, to maintain the strength, and to understand the ways of how can we maintain this inner strength, feeling safe. And really, this is transformation of status quo in our life. This is the big shift of emotional perception. And the transformation of family tradition that has a strong influence on our life and on our choices, on our partnerships and the relationships. And we are really being asked now, is this really where I want to be? Is this really the job that I want to do? Is this really the friend I want to have? Is this really partner that I want to be with? Do I want this responsibility? All these things will be very important, and we will have more intuitive connection with ourselves. And we have to be able to receive, to be receptive. It's important. If we are not receptive, there is some problem there. We may be too rational, too much into that patriarchal mode of being, this state of being where we are just focused on the external, not being able to be receptive, and understanding our fears as well. What we are keeping out of fear of being alone, of being abandoned. Are we keeping certain relationships out of fear and out of emotional attachments? And what do we nurture in our life that is just too toxic for us? Are we committing too much to something that is destructive for us? So these are protective and defensive energies, and we are definitely learning how to deal with all of these things. And again, let's remember that wherever we are, wherever we go, there we are. And home is where I am. That's the real home. And when we are rooted in that, when we are aligned with that, everything else comes into alignment, and we can feel things clearly, feeling and healing. So that would be that for this full moon in Cancer. I really don't want to prolong anymore, because it would be repeating these stories. So let's just be able to contemplate a little bit all of this. Let's try to hear these words not through analytical mind, but through our heart, just feeling it and processing it, and deciding to walk through that tunnel, to walk through that process instead of escaping and running away. Happy full moon in Cancer, everyone. Love you all, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.